The name Mont Blanc is very popular among Malaysians, despite its high-end positioning which puts it beyond the reach of average man in the street. It has a brand presence that makes it noticeable among Malaysians. Mont Blanc was founded in 1906 as the Simplio Philo Pen Company. In 1986, it was acquired by Financial Richmond AG, the world's second largest luxury goods company, as part of its acquisition of leather goods brand Dunhill. Sales from products other than fountain pens may soon double from about 40% to over 60%, said Wolf Heinrichdorf, the 59-year-old newly appointed and one of the two managing directors of the luxury brand Mont Blanc. Mont Blanc says they now have very strong position in Asia, with watch sales in the region is growing. But believe it or not, it was only in 1997 that they started to diversify their product range. From pens that make them famous, the new products are now seen as a source of growth.
We believe that the share of diversified products, leather and watches, is growing over proportionally. We are growing solidly double-digit in the diversification area.
Heinrichdorf adds the potential for watches, leathers and other accessories is much greater than pens because of their image in the market. Heinrichdorf took over the helm of Mont Blanc from Nobel Platt last year. Platt himself became chief executive of Geneva-based Richemont. It was Platt, a 17-year-old veteran of Mont Blanc, that led the expansion into watches, jewelry and leather goods, apart from introducing a new range of luxury fountain pens. Last year, the Hamburg-based company contributed about 10% of Richemont sales, although no numbers were revealed.
What I can say is that Mont Blanc is a very successful company within the Richemont Group, and we are the clear number 2, both in sales and in profit.
The diversification into watches and leather goods is aimed at attracting wealthy consumers in Asia and the United States. To that end, the company has aggressively opened new outlets in the US, Europe, and Asia in the past 18 months. They now have more than 240 boutiques worldwide, and the numbers have been encouraging. Richemont annual group revenues advanced 10% to 3.72 billion euros, with sales in the Asia-Pacific region rising 20%. In Europe, it was higher by 10%. In 2004 financial year, the group registered a net profit of 320 million euros. Not surprising given the fact Richemont owned a portfolio of leading international brands including Cartier, Alfred Dunhill and Lancel. There is also high-end watchmaker Jaeger-LeCoultre, Piaget, and Baume and Mercier. In addition to its luxury goods business, Richemont holds an 18.3% interest in British American Tobacco. Of its 4 main operations, the fastest growing unit at the group is the watches unit. Annual revenue from the unit rose 13% last year. Revenue from its stationery division rose 10%, boosted by double-digit sales growth of its Mont Blanc brand. Richemont is tapping demand from the growing numbers of wealthy Asians for expensive timepieces. According to a Bloomberg report, a Zurich-based research analyst says good growth in the watches industry is very important as the luxury goods maker can achieve a higher than average margin. In Malaysia, Mont Blanc's watches are tagged in the range of 3,000 to 12,000 ringgit. However, jewelry and solid gold watches are sold with a price above 10,000 ringgit.
The Malaysian growth rate is relatively similar to other markets like Singapore, like Hong Kong. So we still see for the brand a growing interest. And I think the luxury interest, the interest of Malaysian customers in luxury products always used to be very high. But we see that we see no saturation for the Mont Blanc brand at least. And we very much believe that there will be further very good growth for Mont Blanc in this region.
So be looking at also double-digit growth in Malaysia?
Absolutely.
But perhaps not surprisingly, China is a key market. Mont Blanc, with 3 shops and 120 in-store boutiques in China, will soon establish a separate subsidiary in Shanghai to boost growth in China's booming economy. However, Heinrichdorf isn't sure how long it will take to show results.
We are looking in the moment very intensively into the Chinese, mainland China market, of course. As you know, mainland China is in a very dynamic development. Partially it's probably a little bit overestimated as well the speed it develops, and there will be as well times of difficulties, I'm sure. Nevertheless, we are in the process to have our own company in Shanghai.
5 more boutique outlets are planned for China this year. So far, just outside mainland China, the Pearl Island of Hong Kong has the best sales in Asia. Montblanc operates 5 boutiques on the islands.
Independently from the size, I think Hong Kong in the moment has the best sales. So if you're looking, for example, at points like Hong Kong Airport, where we have a boutique, these are high-frequency places, and they, of course, as well push the demand. Just to give you a number, in this airport boutique in Hong Kong, we are selling per annum round about 1,300 watches alone. That is 3 watches a day. This is high sales. Other places in Hong Kong, we have 5 other boutiques in Hong Kong, and they wouldn't be there in one city if there wouldn't be the sales as well with it.
With the growing demand from Asia, Montblanc's watch factory in La Loc, a small town that is home to most of the world-famous luxury watch, was extended by 800 square meters. The factory has a capacity of 200,000 watches a year. Jean-Marc Pontou, the man in charge of diversification into watches, leather and jewelry at Montblanc, says, overall, there is a greater chance for profit turnaround in the Swiss watch industry, even though volume of watch exports has been declining over the last 10 years.
2 trends in watches, value-wise getting up, unit-wise getting down. So there is a growing demand for higher-end price point for watches. And that is due to more mechanic watches, and this is due to more female jewelry watches.
He adds, the rising trend for higher-end watches explain why more and more high-end fashion brand names interested in developing their own watch models, particularly for women. These include brands like Louis Vuitton and Chanel. For the past 3 years, Montblanc Malaysia has been enjoying double-digit growth in their earnings, and they are confident they can achieve the same target in 2005. Asia's economic growth, so soon after the financial crash of the late 1990s, is a miracle story of its own. But there is another story emerging from within that story itself, the rise of the buying power of women. For Montblanc, Asia is indeed an important market. But on top of the importance, the company recognizes that growth from here on could very well come from the so-called fairer sex.
Asia today already accounts for 33% of the sales of our watches. It's an interesting area in Asia, I believe, where a lot of potential is still sleeping, is the females. As well in very male societies like mainland China, the females are a target group which shouldn't be underestimated.
Their research shows during peak gift-giving season, about 55 to 60% of the buying customers are female. Transaction value per product may be slightly below the average, and their disposal income may not be as high as men's. Still, Montblanc is hopeful women buying power will grow further.
There are more and more young, eager, intelligently working executive ladies coming from the university, working very hard and trying to make a career among the men's world successfully. Maybe even they are working harder than the men. They have their own disposable income. They indulge themselves. And we believe that that is something we should carefully watch, particularly in Asia.
With women in the pictures, design takes on a whole dimension. New luxury watches are becoming increasingly sophisticated. showcasing precious stone, exotic dust, and many extra features, all aimed at the female physiques.
That is why you see here at the SIHH, at the fair, many female models in watches, accessories. That means, with other words, we are dramatically increasing the offer for the female target group in our boutiques and with emphasis in Asia. This is a huge unexploited potential.
Overall, the value of Swiss watch export in 2004 established a new record. At $11.1 billion US, the amount represents an improvement of 9.2% compared to 2003. At present, between 20 to 50% of each watch range offered by Montblanc caters to women.
What I can say in terms of watches, where you can easily identify the female models from the male models, we see an astonishing upward trend, and we have, depending on the range, we have 20 to 50% of the sales of the individual ranges are female models, which are sold to female, and I think this is a very promising basis for us, which we want to continue to exploit further.
It's a trend Cartier, another Richemont brand, identified much earlier.
I think we have a point of difference. Being a jeweler, Cartier has always had a very specific view on the creation for women, and Cartier watches are jewels by essence, and they are conceived as an ornament, as a jewel, and I think it makes a difference in the creative result we offer in our ranges.
Whilst men usually prefer watches with many functions, the female buyers look carefully for style and quality of design. Presentation in the boutiques themselves needs consideration.
We are studying the possibility to have dedicated space which will be more female-oriented compared to areas which are today more a male environment.
How is that going to be?
Well, we start that in October this year. It will be in Singapore, it will be in Malaysia, where we start to have dedicated space for female in our retail network.
It's a sign of the times. There's already more women in the world than there are men. And if the spending power increases to the side of the women, it only makes business sense to pay particular attention to them. In as far as the boutiques themselves, apart from setting aside an area dedicated for female customers, it will remain exclusive. It's part of their branding strategy to ensure the quality of their products, despite views that such a strategy is discriminatory.
This sounds like discriminating, but it just guarantees quality and high-end standards. And that means our strategy goes very much in Asia as well as in the rest of the world through our own boutiques, our own shops. Our customer should find there his psychological home. When he comes, he should experience the Montblanc world.
It's an exclusive world for sure, but as the saying goes, everyone is allowed to dream. And for some, dreams do come true.